Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show that returns finally to their Sunday morning format after a month of not. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, the voice of the Tasteless, and with me, as always, is Scotty Edwards, the man, the myth, the legend. Scotty, how are you doing on this return to Sunday morn?
I had a rude awakening like last night, realizing
Rick
we were
Rude came
doing
in?
this again. No, like we haven't done one of these shows on Sunday in forever, so I
Yeah,
almost forgot. Like
yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I like didn't even think about it, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're back to doing that." Um, but it's okay. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. I have the sniffles, so I apologize to everyone listening, whether it be live or post. I will do my best to mute myself for the sniffle-thon that will be today's show. And the only other thing I have to say is evil's the greatest, and I want everyone to respect this man. Thank you.
Yes, for all of our Ring Post Radio live listeners and all of our post Ring Post Radio listeners, enjoy the Simple-thon. I enjoy. It's always these January episodes, Scotty, where we start getting sick all over the place. You know, I last week I was like just battling through post nasal drip. This week, I think I'm okay, but now you have a little bit of sniffles. So it's the classic January conundrum. And yes, we're back here on Sunday mornings. So it's us getting back in the saddle again, relearning how to wake up early and give our thoughts about a crap ton of weird, various things to talk about. We have
Mhm,
I'll say it, an all over the place episode of Ring Post Radio today.
mhm.
We're talking, Japanese wrestling. We're talking about Japanese wrestling in the States. We're talking about WWE. We're talking about AEW. We're talking about
Way too much
TNA.
indie wrestling.
We got two indie wrestling topics, if you can believe it. So yeah, we got a crap ton of things to talk about, just all over the world, um, all over the globe, even. So we will start that off, I think, just to get right into it, because, like I said, we have, I don't know, what is this, 8 different topics to get to, so a lot to talk about. But we'll start off here with New Japan Battle in the Valley, which was the New Japan US show in San Jose, California, that took place last night. Um, Obviously, in the San Jose Civic Center, main evented by El Desperado and Taiji Shimori. Scotty, before we go match by match, well, I guess we'll go match by match. I only watched the main event, I should say to you. I only was able to watch the main event, but I know you watched the rest of the card. What did you think of the overall show?
It was a very bumpy show. It was like I think ultimately you'll look at it and probably call it a good show when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I think the card placement of certain things was kind of what made it a bumpy show, but at the same time, when you watch a New Japan show, you're so used to them just going, the lowest matches to the best matches, and instead they tried to mix it up here, so I don't fault them for that. Um, but there were just some like egregious booking decisions throughout this show that I was like, what are we doing here? Um, I watched it all live though, so I am here to give it my all, folks, while also trying not to sneeze, which is becoming a very difficult thing right now. But overall, I'll call it a good show, another good battle in the valley. So a victory there, and it set up some stuff for Windy City Ride as well.
Yeah, 2,147 is what it was last year. This time around, according to WrestleTix, 1,400 in attendance, seemingly last night. So not a great attendance-wise show. I know, like WWE's running the area, so I'm sure that's affecting a little bit. But yeah,
That no Okada Osprey or whatever they did
or
last year.
Mercedes Monet,
Right.
either on the show. I
Two
mean, yeah,
years ago.
the big
But yeah.
star here was what? Zack Sabre Jr., Takeshita, maybe Despy, the junior heavyweight title. But other than that, yeah, it's a little bit lighter, which it's fine. You don't expect bangers every single year, back to back to back forever, but a little bit of a down cycle, I would say. Better
Sure.
than Matt Riddle last year for sure. Um,
Yeah.
But hey, when he was on the drawing cards. Anyways, yeah. So the show, let's go through it. So you talked about the format sort of changing a little bit in Battle of the Valley in terms of its booking. And what I actually kind of find interesting is that they open the show with both of these strong open weight titles, both the heavyweight title and the tag title. Something that in the years past, and not only years past, but in shows past for the US, a lot of the times the strong open weight titles like the main event or even the
Mhm.
semi-main event. Here, it looks like they're opening with the strong open heavyweight title and then the tag titles, which I kind of like. Those two matches being Gabe Kidd versus Tomohiro Ishii, which ended in a 30-minute time limit draw, and the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson, Royce Isaacs defeating Roppongi Revice, Rocky Romero, and Yo to retain their tag titles. Scotty, thoughts on those two matches?
They were trying to kill me with the 30-minute draw. Like this was
That is a tough thing to open unless it has to be
they
really good to open with
they
30.
had like a very clearly laid out 15-minute match the way it was going that then also went 15 more minutes. And I was like, what is happening? Like it was so funny because my entire timeline through the night was like, all right, we can get this over with now. Like it went from like everyone was pumped for like the first 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Because they were doing, exactly what you'd expect them to do. And by the time we got to minute 20, they were like, what this ended, this peaked 5 minutes ago. Like what are we doing here? Um if you like the matches where they spend 5 minutes just chopping each other nonstop, might like it a little bit more than I did. But I've seen that spot so many times now, where it's just kind of like, all
Yeah.
right, come on now. Unless you start like bleeding from the skin or something, like it's not. And it's kind of what the Ishii match is in America at this stage, right? We watched him and Jericho do that a few times.
Yep.
Um, and ultimately, it's leading to a 30-minute Iron Man match between the two
Yes.
at Windy City Riot, which um
Now that my expectations are set for that, I can prepare.
yeah,
I can
right.
prepare my body. They can prepare the match better.
Yeah, you'll
Probably. It
you'll
sounds
go
like.
into it expecting 30. This is like why is this still going 30?
Mhm,
And that's never not always, that's never a good thing. But it is what it is.
mhm. And then what about the tag match?
It was not good. It was not good. It was a rough one. It was a rough one.
How did Yo look? I'm always interested about Yo. He's been wrestling recently. He just like kind of came back for New Year's Dash. He was around in November as well, but for the Super Junior Tag League in
I
October and Super Junior Tag League. But how is Yo looking here?
I thought he looked fine. I mean,
Okay.
I just didn't really I don't know. I don't think West Coast Wrecking Crew is great. Um and I just thought like the chemistry wasn't there between the two teams.
Sure.
Um, so that didn't help. Like there was, I think there was some times with Yo versus one of the two where like there just was something off because the language aspect maybe or something.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but I didn't love it, but he looked fine. Like he looked in ring shape and moving well, so that was good to see for him. Obviously, he's obviously just accepted where his role is now in this promotion. I think New Japan has as well, right?
Hmm.
There was a time where he felt like he was going to get pushed. But especially with that injury that happened last year. Was it
Yep.
last year when he faced Show?
I think
I
so.
think in the
Yeah.
title match that was just so brutal or something. I just remember him getting hurt and everyone like instantly and everyone was like, "Man." So
Yes,
yeah,
this
bummer
was
for him obviously, but this was fine.
sorry, it was not well, I guess technically last year. I still think it's 2024. April of 2024 is when that happened at Sakura Genesis. Show defeats Yo, referee stoppage in 1 minute and 36 seconds. And then and then we don't see Yo until October, and then he goes into Super Junior Tag League, and now here we are.
Yeah.
West Coast Wrecking Crew. I think at best
They're fine.
they're a pretty good hot and cold team where either they can
Yeah.
do a pretty good match or it will kind of not really work. Anyways, next up, 8-man elimination tag team match. Empress Nexus Venus, Micah, Mina Shirakawa, Hanako, and Viva Vaughn defeat Anna Jay, Azame, Johnny Robbie, and Trish Adora. Thoughts on this one?
quite clunky. They went for the Stardom elimination style match, which is like you
That
can
makes
get
sense, I
eliminated
guess.
over the top rope, and
Yeah.
anything with the Stardom wrestlers was pretty smooth. But I'm pretty sure like Trisha Dora got hurt / knocked out at one point,
Mm.
which wasn't good. So that wasn't great. This was in the end, as always. As I figured with this match, it was an opportunity for them to put over Micah, which fine, I get it. It happens every match she's in. To me, this was a way to introduce her more to the American crowd. That's what this match was for,
Yep.
while also having the likes of Amina in there, who's going to get very cheered and was very cheered. I will say the one thing I saw when Amina made her entrance, and then throughout the match when they're all chanting "We want Mina" very loud. The crowd, I'll give them credit. It was 1,400 attendance, but they were a great crowd. They were pretty tired after. Like the retirement match into the Takeshita match. Like that's when they finally started to lose all their energy. But they were great for the first few hours. This was a long show. It was like a 4-hour show. But the crowd was into Mina. I'm like, I don't know how she doesn't cash in this year. Like, I don't know how she stays with Stardom. It would make all the sense in the world for her to go. If AEW offers her a contract to go, she can go back to Stardom once in a while. She already does do this, but she can make America more her home. But yeah, it was a clunky match. I think when the Stardom wrestlers were doing their thing, it worked. Otherwise, it was pretty messy.
El Phantasmo versus Jeff Cobb. We got the New Japan World TV title defense of El Phantasmo, his first one. Match ends in a double countout, 10 minutes and 40 seconds here.
Yeah, this is dumb. This angered
Oh
me.
no!
Like I can't even remember the rest of the match, because when you go to a double countout in a title match, I saw it happen. Like, how many Jeff Cobb TV title matches do we humanly have to do in a year?
Yeah.
Like, this is going to lead to another one that I personally am not that interested in. So it's like one of those things where they're fighting outside, and then like they do the count out, and then the crowd is chanting the entire time after, like, let them fight, and they get both in the ring, and then they just move on. And I'm like, what the hell was that?
Now, we got to unpack the booking here, because they could have easily just done a time limit draw, right?
Uh-huh.
These
But you already
titles.
did one.
True, that's true. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they could have easily just done that. They do it all the time. So why not just do that? Why do a double count out? Why
Right.
have both guys ultimately lose, I guess, instead of maybe my immediate guess would be that a time limit feels like it would be inconclusive, whereas here we need a conclusion, but we can't have either guy lose or win. Because maybe my guess would be that they're moving Jeff Cobb up. Maybe be a New Japan Cup winner.
Maybe. Nah, no. Like, no, please don't do that. I'm good. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, when you watch a New Japan Strong show, you just feel how different it is from New Japan, and I don't think many American fans feel otherwise anymore, and you can just kind of feel when you watch the shows. So yeah, I can't really comment much more because the draw just angered me, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What? Why are we doing this again? Like, you have all these title matches on the show. Just have ELP win." Like, I feel like, considering where Gabe was and where ALP was, I mean, Gabe was fine. People loved that match and in the building and so on, but 30 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But with ELP, it's like, man, you just had him get this big win, and you couldn't just give him the defense. Like, you
Yeah.
couldn't just
Especially his
beat
first
Jeff Cobb.
defense. His first
Like,
defense, he couldn't beat Jeff Cobb.
could just do a roll up. Like, there were ways to just make this like fluky without having to do the count out, which was, yeah. I don't like, no pun intended for the network name, I don't like countouts in title matches, especially in like New Japan. Because when you do, and it's because you did the draw earlier in the night where it's like a double.
Mhm.
Like, come on, man! Like, just have a full on match.
2 in 1 night is tough. 2 in 1 night
Yeah,
is
two
a
in one
tough
night, and in the first half of the show,
yeah.
it's like they weren't far apart by any stretch. So, and this was when the crowd was into it, so they were devastated that this was just it.
Six-man tag team match here, but more importantly, the Sumi Sakai retirement match. Very emotional affair this was. Sumi Sakai with Evil and Show lose after Hiromu hits, I believe, the time bomb on Sumi Sakai to have his team, Hiromu, Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki get the win. Scotty, how was the match itself? And then, of course, as I saw online, how is the sort of super emotional ending to celebrate Sumi Sakai?
Oh my god, the match was awesome.
Oh,
The
really? That's
match was
awesome.
awesome. Evil and Show.
Oh, here we
They
go.
had a mission, folks. They had a mission to be the most hated people in that building, and they fucking nailed it. This match was great. There were moments. So the match. So they do the entrances, right? Sumi Sakai, by the way, they came out to Evil's theme. Absolutely popped me. Absolutely lost my mind. I was like that.
Was the Wrestle Kingdom piano player there?
No, no. But here's the best part. Evil didn't come out.
Oh, okay.
It was
Interesting.
so it's just the other two, and I was like, okay, great. So then Yuka comes out, Mayu comes out, Hiromu comes out. Then Evil attacks them all from behind as they get it when they finally get in the ring, and Boo Birds go crazy. Sumi's like, what the hell's going on here? Non-stop heat. Non-stop heat from bell to bell in this match. Evil and Show are hitting everyone in sight. This was full out intergender match. They did not hold back whatsoever.
Great.
So they help Sumi Sakai from time to time, and then they don't, and then Sumi Sakai is like helping them hurt Evil and Show. Like they just kind of keep flowing back and forth of we all just hate the heels, right?
but Sumi's like, I happen to be teaming with them, but I also
Yeah.
want to win.
Right. It's a fascinating 1-2 punch there. So at one point, you have Show on the outside, and then you have Sumi in the middle of the ring, also with Hiromu.
Mhm.
And Mayu Utani hits one of her crazy dives to Show, which if Show didn't catch her, she was going to absolutely eat it into that barricade. And then you have Yuka diving to take out Evil. And I was like, okay, like they're just going for it, right?
Yeah.
This is the way I describe the match. Yuka and Mayu teaming, which if you are a Joshi fan, is an absurd thing to think about once upon a time. That's great. Sumi in her retirement match gets to be surrounded by her friends. That's great. And Evil and Show were there to put on literally a show. There's one point in the match where Sumi hits the spinning neck breaker, and she's about to get the win on Hiromu, and Evil pulls the ref out of the ring. And he just like, what? I didn't mean to. And it's like
I like how he's such a heel that he can't even stop. Like he has to stop himself from winning because he's too busy being a heel. I love it.
So from there, it goes to them getting their comeuppance when Mayu hits a German suplex on Evil, picture perfect. Everyone, it was like, I'm watching this. I'm like, Io, put in the call. This is real. Shuts out to that. Like the Evil, and I'm not even kidding. I walked away from it like I need Mayu versus Evil. They would have such a sensational match. I'm not even remotely kidding. Then so that goes into the German goes into an Everything is Evil by Hiromu. So essentially they get rid of Show and Evil, and then they leave it down to Sumi essentially against those three. And at one point they all pin her, and she kicks out once, like the one last like retirement gasp, and the crowd went nuts. And then they just all pretty much crushed her in the end before Hiromu hit the time bomb. And then they had this very emotional send off. Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say like if you saw Sumi Sakai in Ring of Honor, you didn't see the best of Sumi Sakai by any means, but you saw someone who, no matter who it was, no matter what promotion they came from, she always opened the door for fans or for wrestlers that came over from Japan. Every single time she was the middle ground, whether you are going to WWE, AEW, TNA. It didn't matter. She was always the middle ground. So that alone made it very emotional. You saw a lot of emotion through that. And you got to see her have honestly the perfect send-off. The fact that New Japan was willing to give this to her was awesome.
Yeah.
And
New Japan had no reason to do this for her. I mean, I don't think she's ever worked. Has she worked Stardom previously?
Not that I don't,
maybe like a one-off thing.
She helped like with the ROH stuff for them.
Yeah,
So
she had 4 matches of Stardom in 2019. Yeah. I think that's it.
Right. And
one of them
and 2 of them were the shows they did in California. So
yeah, she's barely worked with Stardom, so even then it's a loose connection. But yeah, New Japan did not
she worked with them with the ROH stuff, so there was a relationship there.
If anything, it's more logical for this to have been on Ring of Honor, you know?
Right, and I think it's awesome of New Japan to have done it. I think it's awesome that, Evil, Show, Hiromu were not only willing to do it, but fucking went all in on it too. It was as good of a retirement. Like, retirement matches are very different around the world. I think a lot of people know this, but like, as someone who has watched many a Joshi retirement, these are very special. Like, these are very special things that people go all in for. So this was really cool to see it happen, but in America. Like, that was fascinating to see a Joshi retirement in America. I'll tell you this, not ending the show with this was this was the hottest the crowd was all night. And then they do the ceremony and everything, and everyone's emotional. And then they're like, all right, on with the rest of the show. And it's like, I don't know, man.
Get it. I get it, but it's
for sure.
It's a tough spot.
It's like if you're gonna do the full emotional send-off, it's like, oh, I don't know if you're gonna do that, but they did a great job. I can't credit Evil enough. People, someone tweeted they could hear Gato yelling in the background when he saw him taking bumps, when he saw Evil taking bumps, which is probably true. Evil's whole thing now is he's not returning to New Japan. That was his promo post-match. He said, I'm not going back. I'm done.
Okay. House of Torture US tour? Is that what I'm hearing?
So it looks like everyone else is going back, just not him. Like, Show is back and scheduled for a match like next weekend or something. But he's not. So I'm fascinated to see what that leads to. Obviously, 2 big losses here now, right? This one. I mean, this is not as big as the Wrestle Kingdom one, but it's another loss nonetheless. Good for him. To me, it's just he finally gets a little time off, but making an angle because he's Evil.
Do you think it's time off? Do you think there's any chance we'll see Evil show up on TBS or TNT? One can dream. One can dream, Scotty.
Awesome. Dude, I'm not even kidding. After I watched this, I was like, Evil's my favorite New Japan wrestler. It's not. I'm done lying to myself, man. I'm done lying. This dude's the man. When he gets to work, he's gonna work. He doesn't always get to work, but when he does the payoff, like, this was my Evil versus Tama Tonga match. You know how much that match means to you, obviously. Which, again, sounds egregious saying it out loud, but I thought, like, they just nailed it. And Show's so good at being an ass, like they'd start getting momentum, and then he'd just kick Mayu and Yuka in the stomach, and then they just super kicked them, and it's like, it was just great.
The thing about like House of Torture in general, and specifically with Evil, is like I obviously I get it. If like people what they're doing is not anyone's cup of tea. Obviously, we all understand that. But there's something that is great to see someone perform incredibly well in their role, and I feel like Evil typically performs incredibly well in his role, even when it's something that like it isn't as important or something smaller, like a cup match or some sort of tournament match or something here. But he's always, when he's given the ball, he plays ball, if you will. So it's nice to see. And then capping off the end of Sumi Sakai, near 30-year career as well, dating all the way back to the Joshis of old in the late 90s. First ever Ring of Honor women's champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she was the first. What was the official name? Woman of Honor World
Correct.
Champion.
Eh,
Because I know they've
Correct.
had like that. And I forgot. I know they switched the name. Technically, Roxanne Perez is the first current iteration of that
Yes.
belt champion.
And then also, if I'm not mistaken, the first ever women's wrestling match was between
Mhm.
her and Simply Luscious back in June of 2002 for Ring of Honor as well,
To
where she picked up the
to
win.
to give Sumi Sakai some credit here, I think if you only seen her Ring of Honor stuff, you haven't seen Sumi Sakai at her best. But you saw someone that again meant a lot to a lot of different people. She wrestled in JD, JWP, Oz Academy, AJW. She had some matches.
Damn.
This is someone who's been around for a long time. She debuted in 1997. Before she made the decision. I forget what year, but it was late 2000s, early 2010s for sure that she made the decision to go to America full time, and she became such a uh, positive aspect for many Japanese wrestlers when they went over, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
To have that person that was there for you, no matter if you knew them or not. She's been there for essentially every promotion that's I feel like any that ever sent anyone.
Yeah.
She seems like she is beloved by so many. You saw it here. Pretty much see it in all the love you see throughout Twitter. In her retirement, everyone's very happy for her.
Mhm.
And I think again, she couldn't have had a better send off. Doing it in a New Japan ring, Battle in the Valley, getting to put together this crazy tag match that featured a team of Hiromu Takahashi, Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki, bringing together three of the top faces of three different companies essentially over the past decade to face her. It's very fitting. It's a very fitting end for her. So congratulations to her on her career. I know she's like kind of retired before, like
Yeah.
she's had
Sure.
years where she just hasn't competed and so on. But this seems to be it, and like I said, couldn't have a better send off for her. So congratulations to her, obviously on the uh way it ended, and wish her the best in whatever she does moving forward.
A solid wrestler, but an even better, I'll say, an unofficial liaison for
Mm,
American wrestling in terms of exposing it to Japan.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
Never open weight title match. Konosuke Takeshita defeats Kushida in 15 minutes and 8 seconds.
This was a solid match. Sometimes I'm here for a solid match. They again going after all the emotions. It's like, all right, you guys are gonna have to work here. I think anyone that watches this will walk away like, yeah, it was a good wrestling match. And honestly, sometimes that's all you need. That's what I kind of expect from strong shows. I don't expect always like the top of the line New Japan match. Um, I think if they ran it back again, they'd have a better match. It's one of those things where it's like it's very unique because we're watching Kushida get to step up for once in the New Japan ring. He's usually like junior only, right? That's why he left the first time. Um, so yeah, I have no complaints about it. It was a championship match with a finish as well, which is appreciated after the first two singles title matches earlier on. So yeah, I thought it was good, and ultimately the big talking point is the post match
Yeah.
here,
Post match,
which
post match being
kind of
basically that Takeshita has challenged Tanahashi. I believe it was Takeshita that challenged
yeah.
Tanahashi for Windy City Riot, which is being billed as Tanahashi's last U.S. wrestling appearance. So last time Tanahashi's going to wrestle in the States is going to be against Konosuke Takeshita in Chicago and Windy City Riot, which is in April, I believe.
Yes, I believe so. I
I'll double
believe
check
so.
that, but yes, go ahead.
It I mean, folks, you just get prepared. This is Takeshi's year. They're giving him Tanahashi's last US singles match
Mhm.
ever.
Feels like a torch is being held by somebody, and I don't know. Maybe by April 11th, it'll be held with somebody else. I don't know. Who's to say?
It sure feels like that. In a way, New Japan is trying to. I don't want to say court Takeshita. They have a contract signed with them already. They don't have to do that, but it sure does feel like they are going all in on this guy as much as they can for a guy that obviously has 2 other contracts, which
Yeah.
is again fascinating to study, I think, throughout this year. But they have 2 titles on him between AEW and New Japan. He's having Tanahashi's last match in America. It's hard to give him much more than that, except for, watch out, Zach.
Yeah.
Well, actually, watch out, Goto, if we're being real.
Yeah, gotta watch out Goto, because everyone knows that the IWGP, the G in IWGP stands for Goto. Okay, that's good to hear. And yeah, I'm excited to see that. I'm interested to see a sort of torch passing, if there is going to be one, I guess. I mean, I presume that Takeshita's winning that match and Windy City Riot. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. And just the continuation of the year for Takeshita. I think what's going to be interesting, knowing that that's happening in April, what they are able to do with Takeshita between now and then. The big thing, I guess, would be New Japan Cup if that happens. And it happens for Takeshita specifically. And then if he assumingly beats Tanahashi in April, where does Takeshita go in New Japan after that, right? Presumably he's still never openweight champion. He's after that would be best of Super Juniors, so he could have some time off, do a little tour. Is the G1 around that corner? What happened? Is he? I think a long shot. Sorry, not a long shot. A number 1 pick maybe to win the G1 this year. Maybe number 2, number 3. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to see what happened with this guy. And I'm glad, Scotty. I'm glad that New Japan is really courting Takeshita and maybe wants to pass the torch to this guy. It feels like they've been wanting to try to pass the torch to a different guy, and felt like at Wrestle Kingdom, everyone said, all right, maybe this guy isn't the guy. And Tanahashi saw the match and said, I don't feel any tears coming in my eyes right now. But not those kind of tears, maybe. And maybe they're trying to go with Takeshita instead, which would be very nice for me.
Takeshita is 29 years old, a guy who dreamed of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
If they're willing to give him the ball and, he's ultimately willing to prefer taking that ball over whatever AEW has to offer more so, we have an interesting conversation the rest of this year. And I hope we do have that interesting conversation because no offense to AEW, he just feels like the guy in New Japan when he's around, and it just, when you can feel like the guy, it's just different, it's just different. Like, he's awesome in AEW, don't get me wrong. He's had some awesome matches, but it's just a different feeling. Just a different feeling when he's in that cerulean blue ring. It's like this is it. This is what it's all about. So we'll see, obviously.
Yeah, very interested to see. We tapped him as a guy to watch in 2025 as a Wrestler of the Year contender, and they're setting himself up, I think, quite nicely. Next up, semi-main event, Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Hechicero 23 minutes and 43 seconds in a non-title match. Never quite made it a title match. They just went with straight title or straight non-title.
They were scared.
In hindsight,
the big title match.
I don't understand why not. Especially if Zack Sabre Jr. is winning, why not just do the title match? I don't get it. Obviously, in hindsight, it feels weird not to do it, but also it's because they wanted to main event with the IWGP Junior.
No love for Big Hetchy. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing. Well, obviously they couldn't do a title match here because Hetchy, as we all know, is part of the junior division for the IWGP committee.
Yeah, okay.
So he can't challenge the IWGP World. He can challenge for the junior. So we should have had is main event
the biggest junior champion in the history of the belt.
We should have had main event Desby win the match, and then following it, Hechicero comes out, does the belt taunt again, points at Desby and says, I'm coming for you. That would have been perfect. But what do you think of the semi-main event, Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Hechicero?
It was another match where I watched a CMLL wrestler in a New Japan ring. I said, why is there not more CMLL on this show? Like, I don't know how many times we're going to do this in a 1 week span. I know they were in MLW.
There's 7 guys in MLW, but only 1 here in MLW and New Japan.
Like this seems criminal. Also, what's criminal is that they never did one of these matches in Japan. They did them in
No.
the U.S., England, and
Mexico.
Mexico. Like, that's crazy. If anyone doesn't deserve it, it's America. No offense, but like we didn't deserve this match, because oftentimes when you do the technical matches, I feel like U.S. fans don't have much appreciation for it. Meanwhile, when you do an Arena Coliseo like they did the first time, they're absolutely losing it for it.
Yeah.
That being said, Big Hetchy, man, listen, he might be like top 15, top 10 in the world. Like this guy, man. And I'm
Big
watching
Etch.
this and I'm like, I know who should have made event in the Tokyo Dome. And it's not the guy that did it twice last week in this match. It's Big Hetchy. Um they had a great match. They had a great match. What else do you expect from them? I just remember watching Hechicero at Fantastica Mania 2023, and I've been a fan of this guy ever since.
Mhm.
He just does things that are so exciting. He mixes technical wrestling with lucha libre and has all these big heavy strikes, and dude's just the man. I'd keep pushing him to the moon if I'm CMLL. I know he had a what I've only read as a great match with Blue Panther on Friday that I'll get to watch soon here. But yeah, the only thing criminal is that he never gets to win these matches. He never wins any of these big interpromotional matches. He's in them all, but he never gets to win them. So I only complain.
Hold on, real second. I don't know if this has ever been updated or anything, but what is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight weight limit?
I have no idea.
It's 100 kilograms.
Uh-huh.
According to Cage Match, Hechicero is 94 kilograms.
Oh, so give him a belt.
He's
What are we waiting for?
actually a junior. Hold on.
Yeah.
According to Cage Match, he is actually a junior.
There's no way that's updated. When is this weight from? Hechicero is a
I don't know.
big
It just on Cage Match. It says height 5'9", weight 207, which is 94
I mean,
kilograms.
I guess I can believe it. All right, give him the
Give him
IWGP title.
give me El Hechicero versus Despy now. Holy shit!
Fantastica Mania, you have a title match. Congratulations. That's next month. I can't wait. Can't wait. But yeah, Hechicero's the man.
Okay,
Zach. Listen, we were talking
Wikipedia
about Zach
has
Law
him.
last week.
Wikipedia has him billed as 104 kilograms.
Oh,
So interesting.
who do you believe more, Cage Match or Wikipedia?
A 10-pound difference between the two. There is a annotation here. Okay, no, the annotation is to CMLL's website, Hechicero's build in CMLL 104 kilograms. He is not a junior, but if he can shave a couple of kilograms off his body,
you know what? Never open weight title match to Takeshita versus Hechicero. You're welcome.
Twist my arm.
Oh no! Oh no!
I guess I gotta see a dream match all of a sudden. All right.
Hetchy rules.
Main event, IWGP Junior Heavyweight title matches where I can join you, Scotty. I did watch this main event. El Desperado defeats Taiji Ishimori in 20 minutes and 44 seconds. My immediate thoughts to it was that it was a pretty good match. I mean, it's a pretty
should have been the main event.
Yeah, like I watched it and I was like, this feels fine for what it is. Like it's pretty good. I went like 3.25 on it, right? Like Despy was doing nice little baby face stuff and working from underneath. Taiji Ishimori doing his usual.
Who's trying to watch Taiji Ishimori in a big title match, huh?
I'm so tired of seeing Taiji Ishimori all the time.
It's so funny that you say all the time. He's never around until he gets one title match.
I know. It annoys me.
But that's enough for Ryan to be like, oh my god, this guy. Get away from me.
Get this guy out of here. But it was a pretty good match. It was nothing. It wasn't bad in any capacity. These are two, all-time workers, so they know how to have a good match out there. It's just, it's America.
Two all-time workers, except for the fact that you're like, get out of here to one of them.
When I say that, I mean like not like a great wrestler per se. I mean great at their job. And these guys know how to put on a really great match. It's just, I don't really care too much.
Yeah, here's the problem for putting this in the main event. Taiji Ishimori hasn't really cared for the past 5 years outside of 1 or 2 matches.
Yeah.
So when the only good thing about this is he's probably not winning the Best of Super Juniors. Thank God.
Good point. That's a good point.
Things to think about, folks. I just watched this and I'm like, why is this the main event? No one cares. No offense, but like not enough people care about Taiji Ishimori. In America to make this a America show main event. It was at times kind of boring, kind of flat. Good work, like it's good wrestling work.
Exactly.
But,
it's good work. It's just I've seen
like,
this match a billion times.
Right, and it's hard to lock in when you're not invested, which I was not invested by any stretch. I think Zach and Hetchy could have made.
Agreed.
I think I knew the Sumi match wouldn't, but again, when you have Hiromu in there, like it
In
could have
hindsight,
easily
yeah.
done it. Like, and especially if you're gonna do the ceremony and everything and have everyone go out there and all these things, it's like, no, I probably should have. But it's fine. Whatever. I don't feel the need to watch this one again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch Zach and Hechicero back again because I watched it and I was tired. It was like 1 a.m. when that match was going on. I was like, this is absurd, dude. I was like, I put on this show thinking I'd be done by 1, not we would be rolling into a main event after it. But yeah, it was a long show. But yeah, it was a good show. At the end of the day, it was a good show. New Japan put honestly probably their best foot forward for it.
Yeah.
They gave you a big Zach singles match. It didn't have a title on the line, but it was a big Zach singles match. They gave you something crazy. They freaking got Evil to go to America, which is an incredible accomplishment anytime he does. So it was a good show. It was a good show that I'm happy I watched. I legitimately loved the trios. And that alone, I'll walk away from it. It's like it's gonna be one of my favorites that I remember at the end of the year type thing. When you just have those matches that you're like, yeah, that was just it was everything it was pro wrestling about. They also did, like when they do one of those submissions and like people hold the arms and it was a abdominal stretch and it's like everyone's pulling. They did it all the way into the back of the arena because the crowd took part. It was just everyone was so
I can't
in
wait
love
to
with
watch.
that.
I cannot wait to
It was
watch
so
this.
much fun. It was so much fun. They nailed it. So I'm fascinated to see obviously where New Japan goes from here. We know the big show they're building to. So something to look forward to there. I'm excited. I'm excited for where New Japan's going.
Yeah.
I don't think this show is going to affect it either way because again, it's a US show. I always consider it like a US tax per se. And when I say that, it's like sometimes people just aren't going to go out there and put on the 5-star classic here in the US, and sometimes they will. But listen, over the next month, right? You have the New Beginning in Osaka on the 11th, so a month
Which is
from yesterday.
already primed and ready to be having a great show there.
Right, massive show, and then a week after that, Fantastica Mania starts. Like you are to me the best time in New Japan is February for me in my personal taste because I love Fantastica Mania. It often leads to some of the best shows and some of the best matches.
Yep.
So yeah,
and then we roll straight into New Japan Cup after that.
Right. You get the anniversary, which usually the cup starts on.
Yep.
And then the cup itself, that Windy City Riots a month after that. Like they're moving, which is exciting. So good time to be into New Japan once again. Feels like things are happening, which is always good. So good show out of them.
There we go. Battle in the Valley. Which didn't say this, but not on Triller like in years previous. You can watch it all on New Japan World. So go check it out on New Japan World if you have a subscription. AEW. We'll talk about AEW real quickly. They'll have Maximum Carnage next week, both on Dynamite and Collision. We have a couple of matches announced already for these two shows. Of course, Dynamite taking place and Collision as well in Cincinnati, Ohio. I believe these are 2 separate days. Yes, one the 15th and the 16th will be the show days, and obviously aired live for Dynamite and taped for Collision there. So what we have on Dynamite so far, I'll say the whole thing, and then we'll give our thoughts on these Maximum Carnage shows, Scotty. What we have announced so far is a 6-man tag team match: Mark Briscoe and Private Party versus the Hurt Syndicate. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP making his promotional in-ring debut for AEW. We have the return of Kenny Omega in AEW Wrestling Ring versus Brian Cage, a match that this guy signed this in this company to have, I don't know, 5 years ago at this point. So good on Brian Cage for finally getting it. The AEW Women's World Title number 1 contendership Casino Gauntlet match. We know that the number 1 entrant is going to be Chris Statlander. Obviously, we don't know who else that could be.
That means she's winning, buddy.
The winner of this match, the Casino Gauntlet match, will challenge Mariah May at Grand Slam Australia. So, I don't know. I guess Athena's winning. Singles match, Christian Cage versus Hook. I assume
who cares?
End this feud.
All right, no, you gave me a chance to talk about it. Who cares about this feud?
Hold on, give you a chance to talk about it. You interrupted, sir.
It's fine. I have to speak about it. I could care less about this match. Continue.
Yeah, it's gone on a little bit too long. I think that's the big fair thing. Before I say the world title match, I'll just say on Collision, the only thing we know about so far is a Texas death match between Hangman Adam Page and the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. I do just want to quickly say good on Christopher Daniels. Coming out of nowhere, coming back in the ring. Texas death. This guy is going to bleed up the place. I can't wait for it.
54 years old.
And he is going to bleed like a stuffed pig here. And I am so excited.
And he's having a Texas death match against Hangman Adam Page.
Mm-hmm. And of course, finally, that main event, presumably on AEW Dynamite Maximum Carnage, is going to be for the AEW World Title match, Jon Moxley versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Before we talk about the future of the World Title match, let's talk about the now, which is this match against Hobbs and the rest of the cards for Maximum Carnage week for AEW.
Yeah, Jon Moxley match. Woo.
How
did we get here?
Powerhouse Hobbs won, I believe, a match.
No, that's not what I meant, you jerk. Shout out to Powerhouse Hobbs. That was a nice little surprise. I want to say about that gauntlet match, when Adam Cole's music hit, I think my eyes rolled in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I was like, God. I mean, he got one of the biggest pops because his music just does that. But then the bell rings, So, poor Karrion Kross getting justice all these years later. I mean, Karrion Kross still sucks too, to be fair. But anyways, Hobbs is a fascinating pick. I was so desperately hoping that entire gauntlet match that Kenny's music would hit. I just sat there like, come on. Never did. Shame.
I am vaguely interested in this show. You have the Hurt Syndicate stuff, which I think is interesting. Not a great start. A little awkward, clunky promo segment to start last week, this whole feud, but it was fine.
They're getting the tag belts. We're up.
Yeah, but they're obviously leading towards the tag belts. Well, do you think the tag belts will be for Bobby Lashley, or do you think it's just going to be MVP since he's also wrestling?
They're going to be for Big Bob.
That's what I assumed as well. But yeah, I'm interested in that. Obviously, interested in Kenny Omega. We're not going to get a 5-star classic in the Dome, but I suspect that Kenny Omega is going to go out there and kill it like he typically does. Casino Gauntlet match. Chris Statlander is obviously in it. There are a lot of people that are hoping for other various people. You have to imagine Willow's in here. You have to imagine Tony's in here. People want to see Riho back, assuming she is healthy following her injury.
People always want to see Riho back.
People always want to. I want to see Yuka Sakazaki just show up. We know she's available. She was on the Valley. I don't know. Mayu was in town. Let's see if we can fly her in. I doubt it, but Mina probably actually would be in town for this.
Mayu has dogs to take care of. She is not sticking around.
She's got
Mina
those
will
dogs.
be there, I'm sure.
Maya's got those dogs for real. Mina Shirakawa will almost undoubtedly be there for this match.
Maybe Azumi stays.
Azumi, yeah, that could be. I'll take at least
She's
one more
introduced.
Stardom wrestler.
So for me, you probably want to put someone that's introduced to the Stardom, but not the Stardom, the AEW crowd if you were to pick from one of them. So it'd have to be her and Mina.
Do you think there's any chance for like a Micah?
She would get no pop, but you can do it. She I'm not being mean to Micah. She would get no reaction because not a lot of people know her. So like,
and Azumi
and her music isn't like one that you like. Oh, it'd be like, huh? So I mean they could, but it's a match where you don't get anyone pinned. So I would definitely leave Azumi to be in it.
Because you can have like Tony Storm come out and then Azumi comes out immediately after.
Here's the thing too, though. You don't want too many like non-AEW wrestlers, right? We have this. We just said it. Like Yuka's around, dude. Like she just doesn't do anything. There's a lot of people ultimately in that sense. You could have Tai Mello, sorry, make her AEW return. She did
that makes sense.
Stardom.
That makes sense.
If there's only, you don't need to have this match go 15 people long. Like this is, I think the sweet spot is like 7.
Yeah.
So that's where I would go. You should have Willow, you should have Chris, you should have Tony automatically, and then it's just filling out the rest.
But I have to assume we're both thinking Tony Storm gets the win here.
I would be unbelievably shocked, and then I would question, what are we doing if she's not? Because everyone, you and me agree that's what we're waiting for with this Mariah May story, and that has been rough, right? Right.
There's news this week that constantly makes me reconsider what are we waiting for these stories. Right. But we'll get to that in a moment when it comes to the world title. But continue with the women's world.
Right.
Title.
How many things do we have to wait for when it comes to the world titles? Like, just rip one of the band-aids off already, please. God,
we need some movement, please.
Yeah. I'm hoping they have a fun match. I mean, I said this to you. I think it's great that the women are getting one finally. I just want to run them back-to-back weeks. I just think you start to ruin, I think, the match stipulation that's very exciting when you run so many of them. But this is unique and new, so it should be good. Just don't have one for a long while after this.
You mean the Casino Gauntlet?
Yes.
The back-to-back weeks is, I think it's a smart thing, but I also get
it's better than Battle Royal, I'll tell you that.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. It's more fun, more exciting. You kind of already went in depth about Christian Cage versus Hook, a storyline that's run its tooth way too long as we move forward. And where are we doing with Hook? I don't know necessarily what the end game.
Let him go to the Performance Center. That's what I'm doing with Hook.
Yeah, I think honestly, as much as I never want to see anybody really go into WWE, I think Hook needs a new, fresh coat of paint isn't necessarily the word, but he just needs a new environment, and I think
he needs a coat of paint.
What you mean? Orange is not enough of a coat of paint here?
No, it's different gimmick for different people. Taz complains about it all the time. He can't just take his gimmick now.
So we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, the main event, Jon Moxley, Powerhouse Hobbs. I am fine with this match. There's a lot of people dunking on a lot more. I understand why. It wasn't a great match when it was the IWGP World Heavyweight title. This one
it blew out his knee.
That's what I'm saying,
man.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't a great match, and people are saying that was a boring match. I was like, he blew out his knee during the match.
Yeah.
So
it feels like his chance at redemption.
That's what I think.
Get it back for him.
This is a redemption moment for Powerhouse Hobbs against Moxley. Mox obviously wants to put over Hobbs as much as he can, not to win the title, obviously, but. And the thing that was missing with that IWGP World Title match, Scotty, is that we have a little bit more build here, right? Hobbs won the Casino Gauntlet, gets the title match here for Maximum Carnage in Cincinnati, Ohio. You have to imagine Moxley is going to go out there and work hard here. But it is this thing of, okay, Mox is going to win, and then what's next for Mox? Obviously, Cope is down the line. I guess Christian Cage is around the corner, but then you also have this other news of, like we kind of said with
Man.
Tony Storm and Mariah May, there's this other news that we all suspect that Darby's down the line, but hey, Darby is about to go climb Mount Everest. So maybe he's not the person down the line. Or maybe he is, and we just are filling up with
Have to wait forever.
Hobbs and Cope and Christian Cage, and maybe we just have to wait a little bit longer for Darby. But
Waiting
what do
till
you
All
think?
In. Waiting till All In seems to be what they're doing, and that is unbelievable to me that we have to wait that long. This title reign, I couldn't give a shit less about. I'm more interested in Hangman Page versus Christopher Daniels. And you know why? You know why I'm more pumped for it? Because Hangman Page should have been world champion. I'm going to keep saying it and saying it and saying it because this guy's done nothing. Nothing of like note, of excitement since then.
Of
Yet
interest.
he keeps turning chicken shit into chicken salad. That's what he's doing. Well, John Moxley is taking chicken salad and somehow making it chicken shit. I don't know how you do that. It's supposed to be the other way around. It's when you have lemons, you make lemonade. Well, no. When John Moxley has lemons, he just squirts it in my eyes. Like, this is bullshit. This is terrible. I if we have to wait till All In, I'm done with the world title.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Frustrating. It's so annoying.
Pointing out that we're probably waiting to All In is probably accurate. We all thought Revolution, and honestly, Revolution makes a lot of sense. But to be fair, that is a thing that we put on ourselves. To be fair, right?
100%. I will blame myself.
We said on the show, it's like, oh yeah, Revolution makes sense, and now it's like not Revolution. We're all like, how dare they? There was no promise of it being Revolution. It just made a lot of sense. But to be fair, Scotty, All In also makes sense. It's just that's in July.
Enough.
That's in July. Revolution would have been March, right? And we have to wait. We have to wait 6 months instead of 2 for the end of this world title program. At this point, it is Pivot City for me. That's kind of where I'm saying. Assuming, and by the way, this is all assuming that Darby Allin's the guy that's going to win the world title.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, we got to pivot, man. Like Revolution, you got to have a new champion. I don't care, honestly, who it is right now. You just need to swerve when you drive. Maybe Swerve. Swerve would be a great pacifier for this. You know who would also be a great pacifier? A returning Samoa Joe, because he's done it before. He saved the world once. Why not do it again? Then he can put over Darby perfectly. He would actually be fantastic.
Foley makes sense too. They got a whole storyline. They got all background.
God, I've now talked myself into Samoa Joe winning the world title. That is not good for my health. God. We know Kenny's not going to be the guy. He has a clear direction after Wednesday, which is fine. It all leads to Okada. We know this, so that's fine. I don't have a problem. I just would have liked it. I've accepted it, but you have all these guys. Fucking pivot to Ospreay. Who gives a shit? Come on, man.
Ospreay is possibly heading into a feud with House of Black. I'm just going to discount what all the rumors about Malachi Black and everything out there. I'm just going to throw that away for now.
You just prepare for it to come
just
back.
because it's like every 6 months we get another rumor of Malachi Black leaving the company. So I'm just gonna
Ricky Starks in about 2 months, by the way, the next rumor.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna push that to the side for right now. Right now, to me, it looks like he's about to feud with House of Black, and I'm like, I don't care about that. Put him in the world title.
The Callis family for the 9th time instead.
I don't want to see that.
Kenny. I mean, you're gonna absolutely love. Kenny,
of course I am. Of course,
Ospreay versus Fletcher and Takeshita. You're already just asking how many quarters do you add to 4? That's what you're asking at the moment.
Hassan Albani has a great point in the chat here. Great comment. People online getting bored of Darby's reign before he even started, and I totally agree. I don't necessarily fully agree because I think it's obviously unfair to say that.
It's true though.
But the sentiment is fully accurate, and the fact that all of this, everyone has picked Darby, everyone picked Revolution, and now that Darby's like, I'm going to be gone because guess what? If it's not happening till All in Texas, I got 6 months to go climb Mount Everest anyways. So it all makes sense, but that's all stuff that we put on ourselves. It makes sense for me, Darby, but because everyone's expectations have been shot, AEW has not done well with managing expectations here, and the Moxley storyline sucks for a large part of it. Everyone is now writing off Darby, who hasn't even gotten a chance. So all of this, if they go to Darby, Scotty, is not gonna work because the crowd doesn't care anymore. And it's frustrating to see that. It's frustrating to see people write off a reign that isn't even started, but it's fully what's happening. And I think
it's valid.
I fully understand why people feel that way.
I think it's very funny watching an AEW TV show now because like all these things will get reactions. And then when the world title story is being told, nothing. Not a single peep in that building.
Yeah.
No one cares. That's not good. That's really bad, actually. I don't know. Fun fact, really bad.
Some will argue. Some will argue that's really
some
bad.
will argue indeed. Like I don't know, man. I think things need to be fixed. Things need to be pivoted. We've said it multiple weeks now, and the fact that Darby is not going to be here, right? He's going to be doing Mount Everest, something that, by the way, is very dangerous. I just want to point out, like, this is not a safe and simple thing that he's doing. Man, so are we at a point? Let me ask you, Ryan.
Okay.
I am where you don't really care about the next steps of either world title in this company, even remotely, because that's where I'm at.
Oh, I mean, Tony Storm, Mariah May.
We knew that one. We've been into that one.
Well, here's the thing. We knew that one, and assuming, again, our expectations were set properly, assuming it's happening next month with Tony Storm, and Tony Storm finally gets that win.
Finally gets that win. She was champion forever.
Yeah. I'll be fine with it. It really, like, that part, that frustration isn't like waiting forever. It is more Mariah May's reign.
Something new. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's more of like Mariah May's reign wasn't that great. And it was like, okay,
Right.
we need to do something else. But we're still going to this. Here, it's the same sort of boat with Moxley where it's like the reign hasn't been that great. But now instead of waiting 2 months, it looks like we're waiting 6 months. And Darby's heading to Everest because he's also waiting 6 months. And, you know, I feel like I mentioned on the show previously, like, there is something to this idea of, if I could be a devil's advocate for a second, Scotty, I'm not fully interested in waiting that long for the result of this Moxley feud because that means we're going to get 6 more months of a Moxley reign that isn't good. Can he turn around? Maybe. I mean, if he starts wrestling Ospreay and Takeshita and all these other guys, yeah, I'll turn it around. But, like, if I were to be devil's advocate for a second, there is something to Darby finally climbing Mount Everest, both out of the ring and in the ring, right? There is a nice poetic ending there where Darby leaves, climbs Mount Everest after year, unable to do it, getting hit by a bus, getting all these sort of things, injuries to take him off the shelf where he can't climb Mount Everest, and he's finally able to do it, and then come back and at the biggest show for AEW this year at All in Texas, climb Mount Everest in the ring, beat Jon Moxley for the world title. There's something very poetic and beautiful about that. The problem is that is only interesting of a moment in July. Where right now it sucks because that's not happening. We're not even telling that story right now. We're not going to tell that story, Scotty, for like 4 months, 5 months, maybe. Right now, they don't know how to tell the story right now because they're busy telling the story of the end. They have not figured out how to write the middle. They know how to write. They knew how to write the beginning. They knew how to write the ending, but they have no idea how to write the middle. It was the same issue with the Mariah May and Tony Storm storyline that's currently happening. That's finally coming to an end, potentially, assuming it's the end. It's the same situation that we're currently in with the world title. Whoever is the booker, the storyline maker for those 2 world titles, which, if rumor has it, Scotty, is the same person, they do not know how to write the middle of these stories.
So this brings up a funny point. If you want to hear the full audio, you can listen to it on the Patreon. But on the RPR Quarterly, you asked me who beats Cody Rhodes, and I think it's fascinating the difference between mindsets for these 2 companies and how they book their world title feuds. When Roman won that world title,
I just want to say, I love you. I love where this is going.
When Roman won the title, it was, who's going to win it? I don't know. We'll get there. Who's going to win it? I don't know. We'll get there. And they created some of their best TV of forever, right? Like, people love the Bloodline story and all this.
At least a decade, probably 2.
And it ultimately leads to the biggest moment. Cody wasn't even the company when the reign started.
Yeah.
Right? But it ultimately led to this big thing. And now we're talking about Cody. Who's going to beat Cody? I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Right?
Yeah.
That's how they're booking. While AEW is, okay, we have the point A and point B. It's a matter of everything in the middle that we don't have figured out. Everything in the middle is how you make point B interesting. Right? And if you can't make everything in the middle work, no one's going to care when you get to point B.
Yeah.
And that is where we're at. That is I think that is the biggest difference between these 2 companies right now. WWE is worried about everything to get there. AEW is worried about the destination. And right now, it's very clear that getting there is more important than the destination, because if I'm not interested, by the time you get to the destination, it was all for naught. It was all like a waste of time. And right now, unfortunately, it sure does feel like it's a waste of time with this title reign.
Maximum Carnage this Wednesday and Saturday.
Happy weekend.
And Collision.
Get you ready for that. But listen, we have bigger shows to talk about. Okay, GCW is coming up. Be excited.
Well, let's talk about WWE since you brought them up.
Yeah, they had a fake show on Monday.
Yeah, we'll start off with the Raw on Netflix conversation. Cold ass review, of course. So sit with us a little bit, folks.
Ice cold.
But Intuit Dome, the debut on Netflix in Inglewood, California, 17,000 plus in attendance. The show's card was Roman Reigns defeats Solo Sikoa in a tribal combat match. Rhea Ripley finally defeats Liv Morgan to win the WWE Women's World Title, and then poses with The Undertaker for some reason. Jey Uso defeats Drew McIntyre, and then the main event was CM Punk defeating Seth Rollins. Plus, the show had a lot of other stuff. The Rock came out, talked a little bit about how
other stuff.
Yeah, The Rock came out, talked about how much the Netflix partnership is great. John Cena came out, talked about how he's basically set up to go for the Royal Rumble. Not even set up; he's in the Royal Rumble match coming up in February. So he's setting up his WrestleMania storyline here. How has not won in forever, a singles match, I presume, in forever.
Yes, TV and televised match.
And he wants to win the big one possibly win the big one at WrestleMania. He doesn't think he could do it, but what he has to do is win the Royal Rumble. So we'll see how that goes. We also had Hulk Hogan come out for the American beer and get properly booed, which was great. And a bunch and also Triple H opening the show because of course he kicking this guy away from the fucking camera. Anyways, that's a cold ass review. Scotty, what are your thoughts on the debut on Netflix? Did you like their approach of making a show not for wrestling fans, but for the world?
I don't know, man. Like, I get it. I do get what they were going for, but it's their product that got them Netflix. Their product that is going, not The Rock, not The Undertaker. Not sure Hogan. As fucking hell, not Hogan. Actually, The Rock, could be part of it. The Rock is involved. But fucking sure as hell, not the other 2 old geezers. When Undertaker went out there, I just said out loud, "Why the fuck are you here?" Like, who asked? for you.
When I was like sitting here and Jesse was sitting next to me on the couch,
Yeah.
and Rhea Ripley's come down, and I'm like, oh man, they're really sitting on. And I was like, okay, and I turned to her, I was like, okay, here's when Becky Lynch returns to challenge Rhea Ripley, and then the Undertaker's American the gong hits. I was like, huh, the Undertaker, and the American Badass Kid Rock starts playing, and I turned to her, I was like, Jesse, I'll be honest, I fully expected Becky Lynch. I don't think about the Undertaker anymore, and the fact that he's coming out here, just shocked me.
I was very upset it wasn't Becky Lynch. I was very
Me too.
Becky Lynch, not the Undertaker.
But the product has gotten them to the dance. The wrestling has gotten to the dance. It's one of these things where it's like they want to showcase the branding to WWE without the substance. And if we've learned anything about 2024, the substance is really good. You can take that as a movie thing as well, movie review as well. But the thing is that like it's almost this idea of like they think WWE thinks and it's classic WWE. Didn't think I would necessarily get this with Triple H, but it's the same thing we got with Vince all the time.
They fall back into it all the time.
They're almost embarrassed, I'll say, by their own wrestling product, and they think what attracts the world to their wrestling product is all of their stars of old and not anyone currently, let alone any of their own wrestling. And it's frustrating to see.
Fascinating.
It's frustrating and fascinating and embarrassing to see when it's like people want to see. One of the reasons that it got hot was the fucking wrestling, not the Undertaker coming back. And not like multiple promos from Triple H.
The Undertaker is in a draw, anyways. By the way,
no, but it's certainly not, Scotty. Multiple promos from Triple H, The Rock, and a bunch of other people about the victory lap of getting this TV deal by Netflix. It's certainly not that, and it's like the first 30 minutes of the show. I mean, almost an hour of the show is just them victory lapping. It's like I don't want to watch this anymore.
It's what they do.
It's what they do, and it's just like you stop doing that, and they'll never stop because they got 5 more years at minimum with Netflix.
They'll never stop because it worked. They won. Like it's in terms of the actual show stuff, The Rock not being included and just going down a completely different class was deflating. So that just deflated the show for me from there. Like I was like, oh, that wasn't great. That was I think the only 2 things that were worth the damn on this show, besides Rhea Ripley saving us. I don't think the match was good, but her winning was good. I thought the main event was solid, fine, except for the Seth Rollins like groggy fall off the rope and be like, oh, let me fall here. Like that was terrible. But everything else was good, and I thought Cena was good. I thought Cena did exactly what you wanted out of him. He set the tone for, I'm just not going to happen unless, and then build in that I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. I was like, and as someone who obviously grew up watching Cena and he was my favorite wrestler, I was right there with him. I was like, I'm in. Let's do this. And the Royal Rumble right now so far is John Cena and Roman Reigns. They sold it. They don't need to do anything else. It's done. The match is made.
Are you talking about participants?
That's who's in it. Yeah, that's who's in it.
And CM Punk. And CM Punk as well.
And CM Punk. Done. The Royal Rumble's a success. Like, you're going to get face-to-face between those 3 at certain points. And that's all you need. That's all you need. Get 1 or 2 surprises in there. You're done. Right? I know everyone watches the Rumble for the surprises and so on, and they haven't had many the past couple of years. But they have those 3. Those are the 3 biggest stars. The only one they're missing is Cody, and he obviously can't be in it. He's in a ladder match instead.
Yeah.
So what a man. It's things like this. It's like, why don't you just do this? This is all you have to do. Did you hear me say Hulk Hogan or Undertaker in that sentence? No.
You said you talked about Cody a lot more than they did on Raw.
Yeah, that was mind-numbingly stupid.
The moment I figured out what this show was going to be was when The Rock's like, "Oh, we also have Cody in attendance," like he's fucking hosting the Golden Globes. Be like, "Hey, we got Cody in attendance. Say hi to your mother for me." All right, moving on. Just like Macaulay Culkin is here. It'll get good. A Wet Bandits. Like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? Like
I also
he's a fucking world champion, and he's in the crowd being like, "Thanks everybody." Oh, Rock, you're so funny. You're ripping me. What the fuck are we
that was
doing?
crazy. That was terrible. Everything about the Rock stuff was terribly done, except for the him putting the Ulafala on Roman. I thought that was the only thing that stayed the course, and it told me what honestly I thought this whole time. The only match that Rock should be doing for the rest of time is the Roman match.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need the Cody match at
Yeah.
all. I thought it was a silly match to be doing.
Made
Truthfully,
sense for this year, but I'm okay if we don't do it.
but let's be honest. The Rock ain't doing this much. We
Mhm.
have one more match in him. I've thought that since last year. There's one more match in him, and it should be Roman. It's gonna be Roman. The Cody stuff is gone. We've moved on from that. Whatever he wants to say on NXT, I don't care. It's not happening. Also, the women's title match was the last woman standing. That just acted like that never happened. Penta was absolutely supposed to debut on this show. That didn't
in a
happen.
tag match of Rey Mysterio in fucking California. They don't do anything.
Better now. It's much better now, though. They saved it for this week. San Jose is now sold out. He's going to go in there with Chad Gable and probably have an awesome 10-minute match. So it's fine. It works out for Penta.
They got their new Yeet, which, by the way,
and they know who he is, by the way.
I cannot wait.
I
cannot wait for the Yeet versus Sierra Miedo match.
It's going to be like watching it's Mystico and him. Just not as fun when the wrestling actually starts. But like in terms of just the pose off, Mystico does the pose, then we do the ceremony, then Mystico does the, that's what that became when they had their match.
Yeah. It's frustrating because I am fascinated, and we're not going to really get too much into this conversation about the viewership of Netflix here because we have two different number points that who knows. Well, it's also like we have two different numbers from two different companies, so who the heck knows which is correct? We'll find out more of this information as the weeks go on, because especially the first episode, Scotty, is not going to tell us anything. We'll figure this out as the months go on. I just think, like, in terms of that point of future viewership conversation, Scotty, I don't think this was a good first step forward to try to attract fans to watch wrestling. Because if I want to see The Rock, I can watch live action Moana that's coming out this year, I believe. I can watch fucking Undertaker's podcast, and I can drink Hulk Hogan's beer, right? Like, I can do all this other stuff.
I don't want to do most of those things.
I agree. Same as me. But I don't have to engage. I don't have to engage in the wrestling to watch these stars. And that's the problem, is that they want you to engage in the stars instead of the wrestling.
Yeah. I'll say this. They do a complete 180 now into this week. You got Sheamus versus Louis Kaiser, which is as wrestling of a wrestling match as you can have for WWE. Then you have Gable versus Penta.
Yep.
Also the same thing. Dakota Kai and Leonard Valkyrie have their IC final match, and then you have a street fight with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Couldn't give a shit less about that. But my point stands. Idiotic booking for that show.
Yep.
That being said, it's WWE. Everyone's going to forget about it within the next month, and that will be that.
Speaking of things that people want you to forget, Vince McMahon. We'll talk about this real quickly. Vince McMahon has settled his lawsuit. I don't actually know if it was formally a lawsuit, but the charges, I guess it was a lawsuit with the SEC. Vince McMahon has settled the hush money agreements with the SEC. This was the part of the case, a separate case, where the SEC wanted Vince McMahon to pay more than $1.7 million in relation to charges that he failed to disclose that were payment agreements related to sexual assault charges. This was the aspect of the case that this was all. The SEC wants Vince McMahon to spend give back the money that he took from the company, basically from WWE.
Yeah.
And this has been settled. Vince is being forced to give $1.7 million. This is not the Janelle Grant lawsuit. This is completely different.
Ring Boys.
This is not, thank you, the Ring Boys lawsuit. These are not any of those other civil cases This is also not the federal case. Obviously, that ended. And with Trump going in office, it's 100% ending. But these are not the civil cases. This is the SEC Commission. This is the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is a completely different issue. But like Vince McMahon wants you to think, he wants you to think they're all the same. He put out a statement on Friday, quote, "The case is closed. Today ends nearly 3 years of investigation by different government agencies. There's been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating, what the outcome would be. As today's resolution shows, much of the speculation is misguided and misleading. In the end, there was never anything more to this than minor accounting errors." Scotty, I'll tell you this much. If there was a minor accounting error to the tune of $1.7 million, I would be without a job. With regard to some personal payments that I made several years ago while I was CEO of WWE, I'm thrilled that I can now put all this behind me. Well, Vince, you're not going to put all this behind you, because despite the money aspect with the SEC being finalized, you still have the 2 civil cases still being dealt with, the Ring Boy scandal and the Janelle Grant. And I think there might be one more. I don't remember. And the problem is, Scotty, I don't remember. He's got a lot of cases to his name. But Janelle Grant is continuing. The attorney for Janelle Grant said during his time leading WWE, Vince McMahon acted as if his rules do not apply to him. Now we have confirmation that he repeatedly broke the law to cover up his horrifying behavior, including human trafficking. If there's any one thing to say about the Janelle Grant aspect to this, Scotty, before I'll let you say something, is that this SAC thing, now you can say, is more evidence that helps Janelle Grant, because there is now known the SEC's finaled. It's been settled where he had to spend pay back a bunch of money to the WWE. This happened. The payments are related to hush money things. The hush money is related to Janelle Grant and obviously other women and NDAs, but specifically for that case, the Janelle Grant aspect of it all. So that we now know as fact is Vince did all these things. These aren't allegations. It is fact. That to me would help Janelle Grant in her case. But any thoughts on this sort of the SEC case finally being over and how this may affect the Janelle Grant lawsuit or the Ring Boys lawsuit or any of these other lawsuits in the future?
I wish I could have more hope that this awful human being would get his comeuppance, but I don't. It was like a heart attack when I first saw the tweet. Like, the way he said it, I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!"
The Vince tweet, you're saying?
Yeah. This is a situation where I think this part was probably expected. Like, this was definitely expected for this of his many cases. This was the expected one to go this way. We'll see how the other 2 go, but this man is not a free man by any stretch. This is a bad human who should have to pay much more than something that is ultimately not even a dent to his bank account. I think my biggest problem with this is that it just doesn't, nothing ever with this guy ever, like, this might just be me, but anytime any news comes out about him, it's always like somehow trying to be positive for him. Who the fuck needs positive news about Vince McMahon? This guy
Vince McMahon does.
Well, besides him, but like, it was instantly after this, people started talking about like him acquiring a studio. I'm like, really?
Oh,
who cares?
Instantly after this, I heard, so Brock's coming back now, right?
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, no. I was like, it's not the same case, so no.
It's the active confusion is what they want. They want people to think it's all the same case.
Right. Again, he has 1 million, so and that's not me being a joking manner. He literally has so many cases against him because, again, this is a terrible human being.
It's why his first sentence is "the case is closed," not "a case is closed."
Mm-hmm. Correct. Because I originally read it, I was like, "What?" ultimately, if you are like myself, I'm sure if you're like Ryan, you were just hoping that in the end, this guy has to serve some sort of justice that again isn't just paying out of his pocket. Um, I don't have my hopes high for that because that's just how things work here in this country. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go down that road.
There's a whole political
Um,
conversation we could talk about
I'm
it.
not
But
having. I don't like to do political conversations, but listen, this is Vince McMahon has gotten off of so many things before. It's
Mhm.
hard for me to sit here and think he won't again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And this time around, it's gonna feel so much worse. It already does with this. Already does with this first part. Um, he did have wrongdoing. That's why he paid. Like this is a just annoying. Just
So
annoying.
So, for reference here, the SEC alleged McMahon failed to disclose one $3 million payment to a former WB employee and another $7.5 million payment to a female independent contractor in exchange for their not filing claims against him. This is all from NBC News, written by Rob Weil. The settlement here, though, is that the SEC added that the McMahon. Well, here's a fun little bit. The SEC added that McMahon agreed to the settlement without admitting or denying its findings. He will pay a $400,000 civil penalty and reimburse WWE approximately $1.3 million. So way less than what they alleged. Part of the three and the $10.5 million. But definitely paying back something to WWE here. Yeah, not great. Not great, but it is, the continuation of the Vince McMahon, right? Or the Vince McMahon story is this isn't going to end. As much as they want you to think it is over, this isn't over. The Gerald Grant case is not over. The Ring Boy lawsuit is not over. I don't expect Brock to come back anytime soon. I don't expect Vince to come back any soon. But at the same time, Scotty, Hulk Hogan's come back. So
I
we talked about this a little bit last year and a little bit in our year in review is what is going to be the point where WWE fans will start getting annoyed? All the new ones that have come back, all the new ones that have been made, when will they start getting annoyed? When will the hotness wear off? I fear that even the Hulk stuff might be beginning of it. If they bring back Brock, if obviously they bring back Vince, it will be the end of it, I think.
yeah.
I hope. I guess I should say I hope.
Right. I don't think he ever comes back.
He shouldn't.
I don't. Well, that goes without saying, but I don't think the risk will be worth it for them. So I don't think it's something to worry about. But that remains to be seen because you just never know when it comes to him. So
that is all true. Well, let's make the rough transition here to talk about TNA Genesis. Next week, January 19th in Dallas, Texas, of the Curtis Caldwell Center. This is part of that 2025 expansion into bigger arenas for TNA. Curtis Caldwell Center is an arena that AEW has run in the past. We talked about this previously. I didn't pull up what they have sold so far. But I have to imagine it's fairly good, and I'll be more interested day of when we get the announcements here of what the attendance was. But TNA Genesis, they're expanding into the new buildings, the new bigger buildings, and here we got a card to hopefully draw a house. Go ahead.
I'm fascinated by what this ultimately ends up being.
And what, attendance wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I can't find the WrestleTix thing, and it's probably scrolling all the way back, so I'll do that in a moment. But
I got you while you do this.
Perfect. So TNA Genesis, what we have on this card, and presumably this is it. Maybe they'll add one more. I don't know. We do have an episode of TNA Impact before this show starts. But what we have announced so far is the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles will be on the line. Spitfire, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat will defend their titles against Ash and Heather by Elegance. This is obviously Dana Brooke and Heather Reckless in their elegance gimmick here for Genesis. The X Division title is on the line. Moose is defending his new belt design X Division title that he will be debuting on this show against Ace Austin, which, honestly, built up Ace Austin. Why not? I would like to see that. He's going to be sadly singles for a while, so why not give Ace Austin a little bit of a title run here? That'll be just my opinion there. We also have Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana in a special singles match. Have to imagine this is Mike Santana getting the win, going up to the world title eventually. I say it like every fucking TNA pay-per-view, but knowing that Josh Alexander is also on his way out of the company, you have to imagine he is going to put over Santana. The World Tag Team titles, TNA Tag Team titles are on the line. The Hardys against the Rascals. You also have, for the TNA Knockouts World title match, a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, Scotty. Basically a Raven-themed hardcore match here where I believe there's like, I've seen this in live. They have like a rope hanging surrounding the ring, and there's just weapons hanging from it, and that's how you get the weapons. If you pull them down, you can hit people with it. But it's Masha Slamovich versus Rosemary. And you also have a special singles match here. Jordan Grace versus Tessa Blanchard. A special singles match here. Really
I can
popping,
feel your excitement for this.
really
show.
popping the Texas crowd here. Really, two Texas people battling out here in the Curtis Caldwell Center. And of course, your main event is the TNA World title. Nick Nemeth defending his title against Joe Hendry. Scotty, whole show. What are your thoughts on this whole goddamn show?
It's not good. God. Yeah. There's some that's good, there's some that's bad. There's other stuff that, you walk away think, who gives a shit.
I think the only match I'm truly excited for is Mike Santana versus Josh Alexander. Everything else, it's like the Hardys versus the Rascals. I mean, that's interesting, but the Hardys in 2025, what are we doing?
Right.
Ace Austin versus Moose, that could be good. I'll probably end up liking it, but it's Moose. I don't give a shit about Rosemary. I don't give a shit about Tessa, but she is a good worker, so it's good enough.
I'm sure Jordan puts on a good match. That's what Jordan does.
Same. This is also presumably Jordan's last TNA match, so you have to imagine she's going to put on a good effort here.
Congratulations to WWE. They're getting a great match in here.
Yeah. Before she goes on, debuts in the Rumble and wins it.
Man, yeah. This is not a good show for me on paper. I am not moved by much of it. We'll watch some of it. Mike Santana, big moment for him. That's the man that should be becoming world champion on this show. But I digress.
Do you think Joe Hendry is winning the world title?
Yeah, I do. I think they missed. I think they missed the boat already, but they are going to give him the world title. I do not believe in Joe Hendry. I want to specify that. I want the people to remember that. I couldn't be less into Joe Hendry. I understand, like AEW fans, not AEW fans, Jesus Christ, TNA fans, this is your guy. I get it. And it's because you don't have many to pick from. You should have just got behind Mike Santana, in my opinion. But I digress. Yeah, this show is not worth many tickets, in my opinion. But this is the state of TNA. So what else do you have to say? This is TNA through and through. I'll give them
this
that.
Is arguably the biggest set of matches they can do that isn't for Bound of Glory, right? So I think for what it is, it should be an interesting show. I am happy that TNA is expanding into bigger arenas. That's always a good sign, right?
Sure.
I'm just the fact that this is the best they could do is frustrating. And also we know that like a lot of their best wrestlers are on the way out. Mike Bailey's already out. I'm getting real burpy. Josh Alexander's on his way out. Jordan Grace is on her way out. It doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future of TNA for 2025. So
Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander both gone from this card. Oh,
yeah,
baby.
Look at this card and imagine Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander not on it. Mike Bailey's already not on it. God. Well, speaking of things happening next week that we're 100% excited for, GCW, the people.
Don't put words in my mouth.
The Hammerstein Ballroom Show, the second attempt to have a good show in the Hammerstein. That isn't me saying this, Scotty. This is the advertisements for this show. This is their second attempt, the redemption attempt to put on an actual good show in Hammerstein. That is what they want you to say when you watch this show. They want to set your expectations, Scotty, at an all-time low so that they can rise above it.
Buddy, you didn't have to do it. It was already there.
They're already there. But they have a show here that is 1 billion matches long, and I will read it all out for you, Scotty. Are you strapped in for GCW, the People versus GCW in the Hammerstein Ballroom?
I know you have had this one circled. You've been very excited to preview this, mostly to get my reaction, so I appreciate that. The problem is this show also has to be watched. And frankly, I don't want to do that. Because listen, I know like 3 matches on this card. Just go.
Well, let's see if there is any match. How about this? Make it a little fun. On a scale of 1 to 10, give me your excitement meter for these matches as I read them. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
It's going to be pretty low, I think, for the first couple, just because it's openers. 6-man tag team match: Griffin McCoy, Kerry Morton, and Tony Deppen versus Grim Reaper, Homicide, and Lover. Lover, a mystery opponent.
0. Oh, sorry, out of 1? 1.
Yeah. It's fine. Depends on the X, I guess. Richard Holiday versus Charles Mason in a steel cage match.
No, that would be something with Charles Manson.
Steel cage match.
2.
Yeah.
Gets a point for a steel cage match.
Yeah, steel cage match helps, certainly. Megan Bain versus Atticus Kogar in a special singles match. Can't bring in a single one for Megan Bain to wrestle that she hasn't wrestled in before. We got Atticus Kogar coming out of nowhere to wrestle this match here. But I guess
me off, man.
nice to see Atticus Kogar, I guess, back working with GCW, though, right? Wasn't that part of the whole Circle 6 breakup? Was Atticus Kogar was a big part of that? Now he's here working the show. That's interesting.
I just want to point out a year ago, Megan Bain returned from her time in Japan.
Great time in Japan.
Show. Great time. Became a big star. Everyone said she's going to be massive, and then she did nothing. Oh God. I mean, I'm gonna watch this because it's the first match that I've heard that I'm like, oh, I'll probably watch that because I don't know, where else am I gonna watch Megan Bain anymore? 3.
There we go. That the threshold for Scotty to watch something is a 3 out of 10.
Is Atticus Kogar good?
Yeah, he's still young. I mean, he's 27 years old. But he's pretty good as like a good, solid deathmatch worker guy.
Right.
He is a name on the indie scene, but obviously mainly in the deathmatch world.
Okay.
Masato Tanaka versus Joey Janela.
I hate Joey Janela, man. I love Masato Tanaka, but it doesn't matter.
I would imagine Masato Tanaka gets you to a 2 at least.
Yeah, you're probably right. Based on the steel cage ranking, yeah, it gets us to a 2.
Well, it's a Hammerstein, so you're going to have to do a throwback somehow. So, of course, Masato Tanaka getting that ECW throwback and a 6-man tag team ECW throwback. We got Los Depredaores, Ares, Gringo Loco, and WWE ID talent Jack Cartwheel versus Little Guido, Super Crazy, and Tajiri. The ECW legend, Super Crazy, Tajiri, Little Guido.
Come on, man. Tajiri was the last booker for All Japan before it got really bad. Or when it was really bad, I should say. Then
before it got good.
Yeah, before it got good. That's about all I can say about Tajiri. This is a 1. I'm not giving a point to any of them. I don't care. This is not...
You don't care about WWE ID talent Jack Cartwheel?
Have you seen Super Crazy working, Noah?
Yeah.
It's not good.
No,
It's
I
not
don't
good.
even know why do you got the base god Gringo Loco working this match against 3 guys that are too old to do anything. What a terrible booking for this guy, for Gringo Loco. You don't have
He's gonna be the
another
base
match.
for Jack Cartwheel.
You don't have another match where he could be the base for somebody else, like some sort of like lucha talent you can bring in. I'll take fucking El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. He's not doing anything. Bring him in. He doesn't fly around, but why not? Who gives a shit? They haven't brought in the Los Copladores yet, right? Bring in those guys and have them face Jack Cartwheel and Gringo Loco or something. That would be fun. No. We're fucking having the one of the best bases in wrestling today against a fucking 51-year-old super crazy and a fucking 54-year-old Tajiri, 2 guys that cannot fly around. Little Guido, 52 years old, he can't fly around. And he's not a flyer. He's a technical wrestler. What are we doing? What are we doing? Terrible book. Terrible booking. What are we doing?
You know Tama Tonga was GCW champion?
Tag champion?
Singles.
Huh? World champion?
So they count the JCW heavyweight title in that time.
Okay.
So the champions included Low Key, Crowbar, QT Marshall.
Okay.
Tama Tonga, Nick Gage, twice, John Moxley, Matt Cardona, Mash Slamovich. What a history.
You know what I like seeing here is you got JCW. This is 2015. Tama Tonga is the JCW champion for 182 days, beat Joey Janela for it, and then vacated the title after 182 days. And then the title was vacant for 91 days. And then that's when they became GCW, right? That's when that all happened.
Yeah.
So the last JCW champion before it became GCW was Tama Tonga. There's your history, folks. Bloodsport. We got a Bloodsport match. Wee woo, wee woo. We got a Bloodsport match. Josh Barnett versus Lover. Can't be excited. 3. Okay, I was gonna say can't be excited because I don't know who he's gonna wrestle.
Well, I gave it a 3 because of that.
Can't be worse. I guess it could always be worse.
Could go down when it's ultimately revealed as like you.
Me? Or you? What if it? Why you? Why not?
That would be fascinating.
I would love that. That would rule. That would fucking rule.
That actually rule. Wasn't Ricky Starks supposed to be on this show?
Yes, Ricky Starks was supposed to be on this show.
So happy we got to do that Chris Jericho angle instead. Oh,
do you think we're gonna get Ricky Starks versus Josh Barnett?
No. God, no.
Do you think Chris Jericho will be on the show?
I'll say this. He belongs.
We do have 3 lover spots, so you can't necessarily write it off.
I prefer to. I don't think wait a minute. Is Mance Warner actually facing an X, or is that just Effie and Alley Catch wrestling twice?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm just looking at Cage Match Brother. I don't fucking know. We are parachuting in. I don't know anything.
Yeah, get me out of here.
I'm also, by the way, looking over this card, and Matt Cardona is nowhere to be found. I think that's just funny to me. The GCW Ultraviolet title is on the line in a DLC match. Doors, ladders, and chairs. Matthew Justice, John Wayne Murdoch, Matt Tremont, Brandon Kirk, Dr. Redacted, and Drew Parker. They're all fighting for the GCW Ultraviolet title in a DLC match.
Wasn't the whole thing last time when they were here they couldn't do a death match?
Yes, but they are doing a DLC match, which is just doors, ladders, and chairs. So it's just basically hardcore.
Okay.
Because that's that's a great point, Scotty. They can't have glass or blood. I don't remember which was which. I think it's blood.
Glass for sure.
Yeah.
Blood, I feel like just naturally happens.
Yeah. If it's an accident, maybe they get fined or something, but they can't like have planned blood spots.
Oh, good. This should be a great match.
Maybe. I don't know for certain, but I think glass for sure. But yeah, That was a big part of why the show last time didn't work, because there was no glass, a thing that made GCW stand out. And here we are again, trying to fix it all.
They have no glass. That's what makes a company stand out, with glass.
I will say so far, Scotty,
Yeah.
if I have to say anything about this this show feels very GCW. Whereas the last
That's
one
true.
was very GCW versus like Jeff Jarrett, or Ruby Soho, like all these other like
Ruby
outside,
Soho.
all this outside talent to build up the card. This feels very GCW. And even if we aren't into GCW, I'm happy that this is more GCW than whatever the fuck it was last time. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of GCW, special singles match, El Hijo del Vikingo, who I believe is not injured, right? Because he got injured in progress a couple weeks ago.
Sure he is, but okay.
Versus,
I don't know. He's always hurt.
Yeah, sadly. Versus the former Reggie, the former Scripps, Sydney.
Reginald!
Yes, the former Reginald!
It's a main event at any arena, folks.
Assuming Vikingo is not injured and this match is happening, I'm actually kind of interested in that match. I mean, Sydney Akeem is a good high flyer, right? 2. That's a 2 from Scotty. I'm kind of interested to see what that looks like. It's more so
terrible.
Yeah, the show's not great. GCW, let's see if this can turn it around for you, Scotty. GCW Tag Team title match, Violence is Forever, Kevin Kuhn and Dominic Garrini versus the Garbage Daddies, Alec Price and Cole Radrick.
You're a big Cole Radrick.
This is a 3 out of 4 match for me. 3 out of 4 people that I enjoy than fucking Cole Radrick, a guy I think is all. If we're talking about garbage wrestlers, I simply do not like Cole Radrick. I think he is so bad. Maybe he's better. I haven't watched him in like 2 years, so maybe he's better. But I am an active Cole Radrick hater, I guess.
Well, you're gonna watch him on this show.
I am. I'm gonna be locked in for GCW People versus Hammerstein. People versus GCW. Could be him versus Hammerstein too. I don't know. Scotty, give me that 1 through 10. A 2. 3 out of 4. It could be good. There's a chance, maybe. Maybe the tag match is good, Scotty, because you can hide Cole Radrick from being bad. We'll find out.
I had high hopes for Alec Price.
Me too. He had a WWE tryout. We had so high hopes. We were so into him. And here we are. GCW. Get into it. GCW World Title Number Contenders match. I don't know. I think you could be right that this could be for the main event spot for the World Title match. In which case this match will undoubtedly be happening earlier in the show. GCW World Title Number Contendership match. This is where it all explodes. Effie versus Alley Catch. This is where Bussy. You love to hear a Bussy exploding, Scotty, and it will explode here in the Hammerstein. Effie versus Alley Catch for the world title shot.
-100. I couldn't care less. This sucks. This makes the TNA show look like the fucking WrestleMania. Holy shit. This show sucks. What's yours for this? I want your
fucking 0. I don't care. I don't care about this.
So happy we're reviewing this.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait.
We won't review it for 2 weeks though.
That is true. So lock in. No, we got to do a special post show, right? We got to do immediate reaction to a GCW.
Let me tell you, folks. Next weekend is my birthday. I'm busy. There's no chance I ruin my birthday with any of this being here. My birthday's on Saturday. This still feels like it ruined my birthday.
Then your main event, GCW World Title, Mance Warner versus Lover. Probably it's the Effie Alley Catch thing. Undoubtedly, Scotty, it's going to be Effie. He's been the big name of this lead up. Is Effie versus Mance Warner. That has been the big old rivalry as well. Big point of this whole conversation about the Hammerstein is Effie's fucking podcast talking about it versus Ring of Honor and AEW. Here we are in the Hammerstein. It's got to be Effie in the main event. And I don't know, Ricky Starks comes out and challenges Effie. I don't know. Can't wait to see that. Main event, Effie versus Mance Warner. Does that tickle your fancy?
Not even a little. Leave my fancy out of this, buddy.
Leave my fancy out of this. Yeah, that's the show. Hammerstein.
You know, man.
We'll review it in 2 weeks.
Maybe. If we remember.
Oh, ice cold takes of GCW Hammerstein.
Ice cold takes of GCW. Yeah, that's what the people want.
God,
yeah. That is such a bad show. Bad.
Yeah. It's a bad show. It's bad.
And then
bad
GCW
show.
goes to London the week after.
Good for them.
The world title match. Wait a minute. They have a world title match on that show?
Huh?
Mance Warner versus Drew Parker in a GCW world title match is scheduled for that show a week after.
This company, what terrible. Why are you announcing a world title match after your big show? That's like after WrestleMania, we're gonna announce the Backlash card. It's gonna be Cody versus somebody versus Sami Zayn, and it's like, okay, I guess that means Cena's not winning the world title at WrestleMania.
Holy shit, this company sucks. Sorry to the many fans of GCW that watch the show. There aren't any. You've been scared away by now. This is terrible.
This is. I'll say this again. At least this is a distinctly GCW show.
So I'll give it that. Is definitely one of the X's, right?
I forgot Nick Gage. Well, he also is in Hot Water, but they also brought back Atticus Cogar, so I don't fucking know.
He was in Hot Water last time they did this show.
Great point. Great point. But yeah, Nick Gage is not here. Matt Cardona's not here. 2 big stars for GCW. They're not here. We'll see what happens in 2 weeks. But let's talk about a different indie show that maybe we're more excited about, Scotty. Deadlock Pro. We made an effort. We talked about it. We wanted to make more of an effort.
We haven't watched it yet.
We wanted to make more of an effort in 2025 to watch more indie wrestling. So we're not committed to watching GCW, but we're committed to try to cover DPW Deadlock Pro Wrestling this year. And this week they have their first show of 2025. Deadlock Pro, you already know, happening Friday, January 17th. Now the problem is there, Scotty. I know that this is a trend with DPW shows. Is this going to air live or is this taped and airing later? Because I know this is a thing that they do, which is they tape it live and then air it after the fact at some other date. Do we know?
I'm going to guess this will be one of the ones that is available the week after. Because it's not a DPW live.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Is it typically a week after?
Yes, it's always a week after on their service. On Wrestling Universe, it's like weeks after, so don't count on that.
Okay.
So this is another. This is probably another show that we won't review until I don't know. But I will say this: spoilers aren't usually out there for these shows, which is cool.
Yeah, Deadlock is small enough where not only small enough, but their fans are committed enough to Deadlock where you don't typically get spoilers ever for these 2 shows.
Oh, I found it. It streams 1/24.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, it'll stream a week
Friday,
after
1/24.
And we'll cover that on the 26th. Big show on the 26th. GCW, TNA Royal Rumble, Saturday night's main event, DPW, Dragon Gate's got the Gate of Bayside on the 25th. We might talk about that too.
Oh boy.
Big time show on the 26th.
That's the episode of Newth stuff. That's exciting. How are you gonna watch this show?
I don't know. Probably find a way.
You haven't signed up for DPW on demand yet?
Not yet. I'm gonna see if there's a way, if there's a will or a way, and maybe we'll watch it. Maybe I should just sign up.
Wow, it airs at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's cool.
I might just end up buying Deadlock Pro. We'll see. I'll let you know. We can talk about it, I guess.
I'm trying to talk them into it, folks.
Yeah, we gotta talk about this offline, Scotty.
All right, let's see this card, baby.
January 17th, this Friday in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, returns to the Mecca.
At the end of this, I'm going to say if this is better than the TNA and GCW shows.
Oh,
You're welcome.
yes. I appreciate that keeping that storyline up here. So there are tickets, I believe, still available for only general admission still available. So you can definitely still get tickets now if you're interested in this card and live in the New Jersey area. So the show here is for the DPW World Title: Jake Something versus Ace Austin.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I like that too.
TNA
DPW
could have booked that time a long time ago.
TNA can still book it, I think, technically. DPW National Championship, LeBron Cazone defending his title against Leon Slater.
See, I'm fascinated by that match. I've only heard good things about LeBron Cazone. I don't think I've ever actually seen him wrestle, but I've continuously seen praise for him. He seems like the latest DPW guy that they found and are getting behind. So I'm interested in that. And obviously, Leon Slater's fascinating to me as well.
A special tag team match here: Andrew Everett and BK Westbrook versus Trevor Lee and Lover.
Oh shit, we got a Lover on this show, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, it could be fine. I like to see Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett back wrestling in a ring together.
Shout out to TNA Impact Wrestling way back in the day,
circa 2010s.
Yeah, it was during the Hardy time when the Hardys were, which is funny because they're there again. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
We have 2 national eliminator qualifying matches. I assume these are eliminator qualifying matches for the DPW national title, and I assume the winners of this will face each other at a to be determined next show. In that first one, we have Kevin Blackwood versus Titus Alexander. We've always seen this match. It's always pretty good. They just had it again on West Coast Pro, so no reason this match.
Did they do this in Noah too?
They did do it in Noah on Monday Magic as well. And the other national eliminator qualifying match: Adam Priest versus One Called Manders.
Oh, that seems like a very Ryan Knightsy match.
Yeah, that is.
That sounds like your perfect indie match these days.
Maybe. Well, I mean, if it was Adam Priest versus Mad Dog Connolly, I'll be there in a heartbeat. But
I just saw Mad Dog Connolly wrestled on a show like last night or something.
Yeah. I also saw this.
How did you know that? Oh, I was like, how did you like? Yeah. I thought you were gonna have it ready to go.
No, not MLW. That was the one I was looking at. Oh,
Might have been Prestige.
He wrestled on West Coast Pro.
West Coast Pro.
He had a no contest versus Alpha Zone.
Great. Who doesn't love a no contest?
I don't know. New Japan twice. A special singles match here. WWE ID talent Kylie Ray takes on AEW contract talent Trish Adora.
Hopefully. She had a rough spell yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see if Trish Adora can still wrestle this match. If not, I assume they'll send somebody else from AEW. Maybe a Viva Vaughn or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just naming people.
Yeah.
Maybe people that are available that work Ring of Honor. But yeah, this should be fun. Fun little match here.
Ring of Honor.
And a special tag team match here: the Miracle Generation versus Ichiban and Diego Hill. And that looks to be the card here for DPW. You already know, this Friday. What do you think?
We're gonna learn about a lot of new people.
Always fun to learn about new people, especially people that are not only new, Scotty, but are hyped, like a LeBron Cazone.
Yeah,
I keep saying LeBron. It might be LeBron. I don't know why I keep saying LeBron. It could be LeBron. It might be
LeBron James.
I don't know why I keep saying LeBron.
Is it spelled LeBron?
I think it's spelled LeBron. LABRON. I think it's spelled LeBron. I don't know why I keep pronouncing it wrong.
How do you spell Cazone?
KOZONE.
KOZONE.
That feels like Cazone.
Yeah, it's literally LeBron.
Yeah, I don't know fucking why I keep saying
That's
LeBron.
Hilarious.
I just read it wrong forever. It's LeBron.
8.88 on Cage Match.
Yeah, he's hyped. He's hyped,
People
right? So it's always fun to see new people, but people love him. So why not check him out? And why not you check out Deep Deadlock Pro if you're there live this Friday, and if you want to watch it and review, we'll do that review in 2 weeks. But if you want to watch it on their service, it'll be on the 24th. It'll also show up in the Wrestle Universe at some point down the line. But we'll certainly talk about it in 2 weeks. But Scotty, Pick up that thread. GCW, Hammerstein, DPW, TNA Genesis. Give me that ranking.
Oh boy. Wait a minute. Was there 3 or 4 shows?
3 shows. TNA Genesis, DPW you already know, and the GCW Hammerstein show.
GCW is in the cellar of hell. Bottom. Get out of here. I think DPW is getting the nod because it's just new to me. TNA is not new to me. Like I am prepared for what TNA is going to give to me. DPW, I'm not. Like maybe it'll be a nice surprise, you know?
Yeah, I've heard great ravings about their 3rd anniversary show to close out December last year.
So yeah, I'll give DPW the nod this time around. Sorry to the TNA maniacs out there. I will watch the show.
The total non-stoppers out there.
The total nonstop. Nope, that's not a good word for A. That would be mean. The total nonstop apples.
Total nonstop apples. By the way, we just got a comment that said from a very nice Eternal Pure comment here. Hello, legends. And as soon as I saw the comment, I'm hearing you say total nonstop apples. If that doesn't sum up this show and the fans of our show, I don't know what will. Hello, legends, to total nonstop apples.
Oh God. Get me out of here.
Oh my God. All right.
Well, nonstop apples.
That's staying. Just like Lover, just like the ex and Lover, total nonstop apples is staying in my brain for a while. Oh boy, oh boy. And of course, get some apples. Can we get some apples in the chat? Total nonstop apples in the chat. Oh boy, oh boy. All right. All right. All right. Oh my God. All right. Before we go, last thing to talk about here. Noah Star Navigation Premium, a show they held in Corkin Hall following their New Year's show. 1,500 in attendance. This was on the 11th. This was yesterday. I didn't watch the full show, but I know you watched some of it as well, Scotty. I watched the last 4 matches technically.
Yeah.
Apples in the chat. Apples in the chat. Here we go. Apples in the chat. That's how we do it, folks. Where are my apples at? But I watched the last 4 of the show, and ultimately, what I took away from this, Scotty, and I think you would agree, they are pushing Team 200X hard on this show.
What gave you that impression?
Well, they won basically the last 5 matches. You have Daga and Yu Owada defeat All Rebellion, Alejandro, and Kai Fujimura. You had Jack Morris and Omos defeat Kaito Kiyomiya and Haru Toki. Then you had a singles match, which was Kano versus Zawa, that ended in a no contest when Team 200X got involved, which then involved in a 6-on-4 handicap match where Team 200X won the handicap match, of course. And then it went to the main event. Tetsuya Endo defeats Manabu Soya to win the GHC national title. Obviously, Endo, at the time, not a part of the Team 200X, but during that match, takes a bat from Yoshitatsu, hits Manabu Soya, and joins Team 200X to become the new GHC national champion. So they're pushing. They are super behind Team 200X. What do you think about the matches you watch? What do you think about this push?
It's 2000X, by the way.
I don't care. I'm going to say 200X. It is 2000X. I keep saying 200. It is 2000X. I'm looking at it. What do you think about Team 2000X? And what do you think about this show and some of the matches that you watch, Scotty?
They are new. And
facts. They are new.
And while I don't think, as Barney Stinson said many times in How I Met Your Mother, I don't think new is always better. But for Noah, new is interesting. And that's what they need. It's interest. Now, that being said, I don't really like Tetsuya Endo, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm fascinated. I'm interested. apples in the chat type stuff, like I am interested in the apples. I'm interested in Team 2000X. I think for me, right?
By the way, Apples should be
I
a new star rating, by the way. Apples should be the new star rating. I'm just going to think about this moving forward. Look, Scotty, continue.
I don't even know. We got back to apples, man. I don't know what I was saying. I don't know what I was saying. Okay, here's what I will say. Going all in on something new is good for Noah. Whether you like it or not is good for Noah. I don't know if it's going to end up being a success, but this was a sold out Korakuen Hall.
Yes.
So something's working. You know what's also working, Ryan? Almost is working in Noah. Plain and simple. Sorry to the people at home that don't like him or didn't like him or didn't want to book him as anything besides a guy that had a squash here and there, then put over Seth Rollins once in a while. But he's working. Almost should stay in Noah. Almost should get a godly run with a GHC national title. I'm all in on Almost. Also, Ozawa, fascinating worker. Truly a fascinating worker. I will give him this. For someone that is still so new, he has his own thing. He has his own style.
Yeah.
He sets himself apart from everyone else.
The troll shenanigans work so well. Him going up to the top rope and doing the Jinsei Shinzaki rope walk and the hand and everything. Yep. Perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, he's a modern, very modernized heel in that he is a jokester and so on. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch this unfold. It's getting a little stuffed now with the addition of Endo too. I do think it's funny. You and me talked about weeks ago how like Jack Morris felt like he might get the GHC. Now he is gone from the maybe national guy to he is just the tag guy now.
Yeah. This Team 2000X was built around Jack Morris, seemingly, and now he is just a tag team wrestler of Omos.
He couldn't feel more like the least important guy not named Yoshitatsu.
Oh, hold on. There's some who
Iwata they like though. Like they have big hopes for him.
Daga like more than Daga.
Oh yeah, he did lose the junior belt. Sorry,
I
thought he still had it. Okay, I guess it's him and Daga in the same little thing. There's so many people in this group. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's different and it sold tickets. So
people are interested in this. People are finally interested in it. It's a great shot in the arm for Noah right now.
Yeah, this is the first sold out Korakuen of the year, I think.
I think you're right.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So
yeah.
Big deal for them.
Big deal. This is a big time shot in the arm. They have great momentum right now. It is all about this continued follow up. And right now,
they have their matches set too.
And we said that at the Noah New Year, by the way, is that this feels like a great start, great momentum. It's all about how they followed up, and they followed up with a sold out Korakuen Hall where they pushed it even harder, and it felt like the crowd is still behind them. So we'll see.
And Ozawa's first offense is against Galeno Del Mal.
Yes. Do you have that card in front of you, or I can pull it up real quick?
It's just 2 matches right now.
Okay.
But it's on the 11th. I believe it's also a Star Navigation Premium. It is going to be Ozawa defending the title against Galeno Del Mal, who they are pushing heavy right now with Wagner leaving. And I believe Manabu Soya will get his rematch for the belt after being screwed out of the title against Tetsuya Endo.
What's the date on the show? You said the 11th. That already happened.
February 11th. Sorry.
February 11th. Yes, Star Navigation Premium. Noah Junior Tag Tournament as well starts there.
Great.
Galeno Del Mal versus Ozawa, Tetsuya Endo versus Manabu Soya. Yes, that should be an interesting show. And yeah, I'm looking at all these. There's other like Sunny Voyage shows that have like a lot of like Noah guys, All Rebellion guys versus Team 2000X.
That's a interesting Yeah, that's a Tuesday, but it's a holiday in Japan. So,
Oh, Scotty. Sunday, January 19th. Sunny Voyage.
oh, wait a minute. This show's the same day as the New Beginning.
Ooh, interesting. That's a fun day. That's a fun day for us, Scotty. So just real quickly, Sunday, January 19th, main event, 8-man tag team match: Ozawa, Jack Morris, Daga, Yu Iwata versus All Rebellion and Galena Del Mal.
He just
Kano.
joined.
He just joined. Perfect. That makes sense. Galena Del Mal, Kano, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Alejandro. By the way, Kaito Kiyomiya feels like he's not the biggest guy right now. In All Rebellion, but yeah, that's a conversation for another day.
Oh, by the way, you know how people always ask like that question of like who's one wrestler that people love and you just can't get into? That is officially Kano for me. Thank you.
This is a way more interesting semi-main event. Are you strapped in for this semi-main?
Yep.
Tetsuya Endo. Stay strapped in, Scotty. Tetsuya Endo and Omos versus Manabu Soya and Kazuyuki Fujita.
That is fascinating.
I have never been more strapped in for a match than now. That,
never in your life.
Never.
Okay.
That's several apples. That's apples that's in my book.
Almost didn't even wrestle on the house show today. That's real.
Fine. That's fine. I don't care. He doesn't have to. He's an attraction. He should be an attraction in Japan. Anyways, Eternal Pure Endo should go to Total Nonstop Apples. All right.
He should. I'm going to send everyone to Total Nonstop Apples.
Hey, they need some stars. They're losing a bunch of people. They need somebody. All right, Scotty, that is it for us here on Ring Post Radio. Let's talk about the ending, give our plugs and our matches of the week. Scotty, what is your match of the week and what are your plugs? What do you want the people to listen and watch and enjoy?
Jesus, that was holy shit. That was insane.
I'm taking you on a journey. I'm taking you on a journey over here.
Yeah, you took me on a journey. All right. I'm caught up in all my wrestling for the most part. Outside of anything that's happened the past 2 days, so I'm not actually at all.
I'm caught up, except not.
I don't know. There wasn't a lot of stuff that I watched this week that blew me away. I'll go with Roxanne and Julia. Roxanne and Julia. This was a very fast-paced match. They didn't have a ton of time, but I thought they got the job done. Congratulations to Julia on winning the NXT Women's Championship. So quick, to the point with her. Great to see. Plugs. You can follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter, Blue Sky. Check out YouTube, youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling. I'll be having a Joshi predictions video up in the next day or two. I was hoping for Monday, but it's my mom's birthday today, so probably won't be able to get that done till maybe tonight, but most likely tomorrow. So that will be my predictions for the year, just to give you an idea, folks, just to give you a little taste. Last year, I predicted the following. Noah would introduce a women's title. Nailed it. Julia would leave and sign with WWE. Nailed it. Saya Kawatani would main event Stardom. Dream Queenum. Nailed it. Hanum would challenge for the Wonder of Stardom title. Nailed it. I was on fire last year. What can I say?
Yeah.
So this year, I plan to do it again. I won't be as good, but I do try to do it again this year. So that'll be a fun video to put together. But otherwise, Ryan, take it away. I know there's some stuff to plug that we did, but I will leave it to you because you'll have like the website link and you'll just nail it, and I won't.
Yeah.
That's a Total Nonstop Apples.
My match of the week is Buddy Matthews versus Will Ospreay on Dynamite this past week. Yes, folks, neither Scotty and I have watched CMLL Super Viernes Hechicero versus Blue Panther, but I know both of us really want to see it. And I heard it was also really great. So we'll definitely go check that out eventually, but we have not watched it yet. Plugs. Yeah, a lot of plugs here. Obviously, follow Ring Post Radio wherever you get the podcast, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on any of your podcast audio listening devices. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you go listen to podcasts, we're there for Ring Post Radio. And of course, if you're watching us live, subscribe to us live on on Count Out YouTube's channel. If you're watching this video, you're already there. So why not hit subscribe, hit that bell, do all that other bullshit that YouTube wants us to do to help those algorithms. I launched a brand new show that is it's old but also new. It was on the Patreon last year, but this time around, this season, I'm making it public to everyone, so you can go listen today. It came out last Wednesday. It's called The Ballot, a Wrestling Hall of Fame show. This first episode was all about Ted Boy Marino. I was joined by Verb Abrams. He wrote a great article about Ted Boy Marino. He is arguably one of the biggest stars in Brazilian wrestling history. If you mention wrestling to a Brazilian person, more than likely they're going to name Ted Boy Marino. He was the biggest wrestling star of the 60s and 70s, arguably. Massive star. A guy the size of Darby Allin that needed security to walk around Brazil because he was getting constantly constantly chased down by various people, fans, and women around the streets of Brazil. Massive star, the Hulk Hogan of Brazil, if you will, without obviously the politics, I hope. But more importantly, why you don't know him and why the conversation around him, especially for the Hall of Fame, is important. Great episode. Legitimately, you will 100% learn something. It's on every podcast platform, I believe. You can obviously watch it again on this YouTube channel. It's a great audio. If you want to learn more about professional wrestling outside of your own sphere, I highly recommend it. You will 100% learn something. Verb was a great guest, great expert on Ted Boy, and we had a lot of great discussion surrounding Ted Boy Marino. A massive star. You will learn something. Go check out The Ballot today. We also, on patreon.com/countoutpod, released our Ring Post Radio Quarterly. We sort of reworked it a little bit, but we already released that first episode. We asked questions to each other. Scotty already talked about it earlier in the show. We asked some questions like who will be Cody, or some of our all-time dream guests to have on the show would be Ring Post Radio, of course. Is AEW's wrestling promotion, is that environment conducive to developing a proper wrestler of the year? A lot of questions and more, all on Ring Post Radio Quarterly. Those will come out every quarter on the Patreon from us. So this time around, Q1 2025 is already out. Did I write 2024 or write 2025? On my calendar when I'm looking at this, I wrote 24, but I hope to God I did. Oh yeah, okay, great. I did 2025. Perfect. So Q1 2025 is already out there. Patreon.com/countoutpod. I didn't get quite my act together to release the first episode of Hustle Loyalty Retrospect this week. We kind of bogged up with the Ballot debut and the Ring Post Radio Quarterly. So the Patreon Hustle Loyalty Retrospect series will be coming out this week, this Thursday, January 16th, my mother's birthday, Scotty, if you believe it. We will have that episode released, Hustle Loyalty Retrospect, about the first 2 years of John Cena's career, plus his life before he got into wrestling. So you'll be able to hear that again. Patreon, $5 tier, actually $3 tier as well for those first time episodes for a series. You'll be able to hear that this Thursday, January 16th, Hustle Loyalty Retrospect. It's the last year of John Cena, folks, so get into it. I believe that is it. We'll be back next week to discuss All Japan's New Year's Fan Appreciation. We didn't get to preview it this time around. We'll review that show, certainly. We'll preview Dragon Gate Gate of Bayside. We'll preview WWE's Saturday Night's Main Event number 2. And we'll talk about whatever else happens in the wonderful world of professional wrestling. So until next week, we will see you all later. Goodbye, everybody.